Welcome to the Traveller 2025 Mayday event. I'm your host, Frank Succardi of CyborgPrime Games. Hello everyone, I'm here with my friend Jeff Kazmierski of the Zhodani Language Institute. And he's our guest today at this Traveller Mayday 2025 event. Jeff, thanks for coming and welcome.
Thank you. Good to be back.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you and what do you do?
Well, as you said, my name is Jeff Kazmierski, and in my real life, I work as a software developer. But in my spare time, I'm a full-time dad of two young adults, and I'm a gamer, and I've been playing Traveller for about the past 45 years off and on, and really got into it in earnest within the past about 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
I started doing comic art for entertainment of the masses some time ago, and wrote a couple of graphic novels, and then about 5 years ago, I started getting into linguistics, and that's how the Zhodani Language Institute was born.
What got you interested in that? Was it just like a personal interest in linguistics, and then you were like, well, I want to apply that to my hobby of Traveller, or was it something where you said to yourself, it would be cool if this aspect of Traveller was developed more? Like, how did those two things come together?
All the above, really. I'd started writing a story about that involved a character that turned out to be a Zhodani expatriate stranded behind enemy lines after one of the frontier wars, and I decided that in order to really understand how she thought and how she should behave, I needed to understand more about Zhodani culture. And then in order to understand a culture, you have to know the language. And I started doing some digging online and found next to nothing aside from what was already written in the Alien modules.
Mm-hmm.
And there were a few notes on, I think, the Traveller wiki at the time. So I, armed with a random number generator and the word generation tables, I started creating some new words to go along with what had already been created. And then friend Maxim Smolchek, I believe everybody knows him, bent my ear and said, "Here's what you should be doing." And he gave me some pointers, pointed me to the what do you call it, the real world language upon which Zdetl is based, which is the Mesoamerican language called Nahuatl. And I found an online dictionary that made some of the word generation a little bit more consistent and more a little bit easier.
Right, less random and like more structured.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Because languages have a clear structure. They're not just random collections of sounds. And I don't know if a lot of people know this, but all the languages in Traveller are based on real world languages. All the phonemes are based on real world linguistic structures.
Hmm.
It's just a matter of finding out which ones they are. I couldn't tell you what they are, but they are. They can be. They are identifiable.
Mm-hmm.
So once I started doing that, then I decided, not being a linguist, it was probably a good idea to reach out to the community and find out if there were linguists out there who were interested in participating in the project and helping. And
Mm-hmm.
I did find a few.
Okay.
And that's how the institute came about. Started
Awesome.
with about 5 or 6 people, and now I think we've got well over 100, of which maybe about 10 to 12 regularly participate and contribute.
Well, that's cool. And so between this like think tank of volunteers, you've managed to piece together, or well, I guess it would be an artificial language since you invented it.
Yeah, we call it a conlang,
Okay.
constructed language.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, how do you decide like which grammatical rules to include? Are you just basing that on the existing base language?
Based on the grammatical rules had been set. I don't remember exactly when. I think Bob Eagleston and some of the other guys involved in the original Alien Module projects, they had established the rules of each language way back when, back in the 80s. So grammatically, as far as the grammar structure goes, there is a clear definition of how sentences are constructed and how words get constructed. Zdetl is a object verb subject sequence language.
Mm-hmm.
I like to say it's kind of object oriented. So you have the object, the action, and then the actor or the agent appearing in the sentence in that order, and it makes it interesting for translation, and it really requires a different thought process when you are writing in the language.
Can you give us an example of English syntax versus Zdetl?
Sure.
A simple one.
A simple one, yeah. So, for example, in the latest version of the dictionary is going to include an expanded phrase book section. Just common phrases for you to use on just during gaming sessions or whatever, or just for fun.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see here. I gotta find one that has the right structure. Okay. Okay, so here we go. So if you wanted to ask, where can I buy, say, where can I buy a laser rifle? We'll make it Traveller. In the English, you have the where can I being the subject, buy the action, laser rifle, direct object, right?
Mm-hmm.
In Zdetl, you flip that around, and you get you get laser rifle, or where laser rifle, purchase I, and it comes out Ija Vapazir Fochalik. Ija meaning where, Vapazir meaning laser rifle, and Fochalik, purchase, the suffix "ik" indicates that I am taking ownership of that action.
I see. Interesting. So you have to go through and like translate all these like common things into this
Yes.
other syntax. It must be time consuming.
It gets easier, but it is time consuming. Like I've translated several recognizable phrases, several recognizable statements from science fiction and other sources.
Like we come in peace.
It gets fun. Yeah, well, yeah, like no imperial entanglements.
So tell us a little bit more about what you've been up to since last May Day. You've been working on your conversational Zdetl and other things,
Yeah.
or
Yeah, I've been working on expanding and editing conversational Zdetl, and I just released the which one was it? The Dronjden update, which was roughly around Christmas. So it wasn't so it was only a few months ago, and that one expanded on the previous release and included some edits and made a few minor adjustments, added to some of the appendices. I'm also working on expanding the vocabulary, which is it's kind of a constant process. Took it from I think I had 2,000 words last May, and I set kind of a goal to add 100 words at least every month since then. And now we're on track to hit 3,000 this month, in time for what I'm calling the 3K update.
Oh, cool.
In time for May.
Mm-hmm.
It's 3,000 to 3,500 is about the lower limit of what you need for it to speak fluently in a language and have an intelligent sounding conversation.
How do you choose the candidate words that go into the dictionary? Which ones that you're gonna translate?
Well, sometimes I just do a dictionary search, come up with a random list of words, and then just go down the list and add ones that I haven't done yet. And sometimes like I'll be doing some thinking about other aspects of culture and history, and ask myself if I've added those any particular words from that. Like the other day, I was looking at geology and paleontology, because I like delving that far back into traveler history. And I realized I didn't have any vocabulary to describe prehistoric events on Zdetl, which is actually kind of important because we know from Canon that they were settled that Zdetl was settled by the ancients. We know that the Zhodani were brought there by the ancients, and we know that that during the final war, all the major cities on Zdetl were obliterated by another faction of the ancients. Geologically, and then their descent. Then there followed a nuclear winter lasting for hundreds or even a couple of thousand years. That means, geologically speaking, that there's going to be a fairly thick layer of dust that doesn't look like anything else before it or after it. That any industrial society, any society of curious humans that evolved primates like us, is going to find and say, wait a minute, this is really weird. And there might be legends and stories from thousands of years ago that, going back in their history, they could kind of cross-reference, I guess, these legendary events told and retold by primitive humans, and come to the conclusion that this cataclysmic event happened. Not, in this case, not the Great Flood, but the big, for lack of a better word, the Big Bang.
The Great Leveling.
The great leveling.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's cool. And then to be able to like come up with all the stories related to that. Why was there the Great Leveling,
Right?
leveling?
Leveling.
You know, I guess in modern Zhodani culture, they would know that they were, you know, a Terran transplant brought there by the ancients, but from their perspective, after like the fall of their civilization, who knows if they retain that at all?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah. I mean, they will have known. They will have known that they're not of that world for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
It's really pretty hard for any society of curious primates to miss.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because, I mean,
everything there is set up against them. Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. There's so much. It's not quite as bad as it was on land, where like literally everything in the world, including the flora and fauna, was trying to kill them,
Mm-hmm.
or at least it was either actively toxic or incredibly dangerous. But there are certain, but there are other features that we kind of hit on early on, that would immediately set them apart from all other life on their home world. Like we figure that most life on Zdetl is Teqasatl for some reason. Don't know why, but you know, somebody came up with a six-legged cats because six-legged cats are cool, and nature tends to follow predictable patterns. So most terrestrial life on Zdetl is probably going to be six-legged, and humans being, you know, having only 4 limbs are going to stick out.
Right. It's obviously like at a place in their like not biome, what do I want to say? Well, in their environment with respect to their environment, I guess. You know,
Yeah,
they're obviously not the result of their environment when they stand out compared to the other organisms, right?
And this leads to some interesting linguistic concepts, like one of the crazier projects that I started a couple of weeks ago was actually writing a legendary history of Zdetl, kind of in the mode of the Silmarillion, the Bible, the Hebrew Bible, or Gilgamesh, and Homer.
Mm-hmm.
Just I've had that in the back of my head for a while, and I just started writing down some notes and feeding them into ChatGPT and doing a lot of heavy editing and seeing what it comes up with.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the words that I came up with a while ago for the gods, partly because I've been thinking in terms of not just how the language exists today, but how it would have been used thousands of years ago. Was Zdetl, by pure coincidence, it sounds a lot like Zdetl, which means Zdetl could be Eden or land of the gods.
Mm-hmm.
And Zhodani, the chosen people of the gods.
Mm-hmm.
Zdetlas, of course, superior. So all this kind of derives and flows into each other.
Mm.
And makes some really interesting results.
Yeah. That sounds like a great idea. I mean, it's wide open to development for you. I mean, you can, there's Joseph Campbell found out that there's the monomyth, and it's across cultures, and so maybe that could be played upon. Space culture will have their heroes who go through trials and
exactly
meet people along the way that help them, and yada yada. So yeah, that could be cool. Like you said, Gilgamesh, all these epic stories. What would be another one, like Beowulf?
Beowulf, yeah. That was the one I was trying to think of earlier.
That fits perfectly with Traveller.
yeah. And yeah, exactly. And of course, the Odyssey, the Iliad.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't only begun to explore the Legendarium. Right now, I have a collection of stories with a few names in it, and what a Legendarium really needs, of course, is legends.
Mm-hmm.
So,
how will you
need to add names
and aspects of the different gods or whatever, or you're going to come up with a pantheon? Like, are you going to do? Are you going to like have like how religion or philosophy has changed over time? Like maybe they started believing in 3 gods, and then they started believing in 5 gods, and they believed in 1 god for a while, then they're back to 3 or whatever. Why did they make these choices? Or
yeah, exactly. And I was thinking about the cosmology of Zdetl,
mm-hmm.
And ancient Zhodani culture. One of the interesting features of the Zdetl system is that all of the major planetary bodies in the system are visible at some point from Zdetl.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have distant gas giants that can't be seen with the naked eye. You can see everything in the system from the main world in orbit too. So and it really, for purposes of a cosmology, it really wouldn't matter if you couldn't, because like on Earth, when we discovered planets beyond Jupiter, we just continued the naming structure and kept giving them Roman god names.
Mm-hmm.
But I had done the math and a while ago to figure out what the size relationship visually between Don's moon, Teqasatl, and the sun, Kleber, and discovered in the process that Kleber is about 1.5 times the size of the sun in the sky. Maybe a little bit less, but 1.3 to 1.4 times. It's where it's much bigger in relation to their sun than ours is on Earth,
Mm-hmm.
which by pure coincidence are roughly the same size visually, right?
Okay.
That's how we get the kind of solar eclipses that we have. then the occasional, when the moon is a little bit further out, you get the annular eclipses and the so-called ring of fire. On Zdetl, you don't have that. You have either, I mean, you might have an arc of fire where this giant moon passes in front of the sun and leaves this sliver of sunlight appearing over its horizon, or you've got totality, and totality that lasts for hours at a time. Really, really fascinating eclipse events that primitive cultures on Earth made a big deal about eclipses,
right?
Signs and portents and all that. And my God, what would primitive people do with that when the sun is just completely blotted out for hours at a time? And it's not like it's that bright to begin with.
Right.
It's dimmer and redder. So
what you got to come up with myths of, like, what's happening there and how do we appease it? How do we make it stop?
Exactly. And on top of it, it gets better because Clever is twice the size of our moon. Vipchakla is twice the size of Luna. It's a roughly Mars-sized body orbiting a slightly smaller than Earth-sized body. The tides and the tidal forces on Zdetl are incredible from that. You get earthquakes, you get much more frequent geological activity, much more intense tidal forces. And then when the moon and sun are aligned, the I think it's called spring tides. The spring tides get really, really intense.
You could have a vibrant summer surfing industry.
The seafaring on Zdetl is you got to be tough.
Yeah, right.
You had to be tough back then. And that aspect of it made it into what I have for the legendarium so far.
Awesome. Let's talk about the Moon Day celebration.
Takashtii'il.
Tell us about what that is and its significance.
That is as you said, the Moon Day celebration on the Zhodani calendar. It is sometime. I believe it happened sometime between the spring thaw and the beginning of the rainy season. Sadly, I do not. I don't remember the names of all the months on their calendar. I think it's between Vrinstia and Aprint. Aprint being the rainy season.
Okay.
And it's a very old holiday dating back to the time of the Takashtii'il Empire. About in Third Imperium timeline, about 20 to 25,000 years ago. So it's very old. And it's a time when everybody's allowed to cut loose. It's a big party, big celebration. Even the nobility doesn't really participate in the revelry, but the commoners are encouraged to live it up a little bit for a couple of days.
What's the basis of the celebration?
We don't know yet. We haven't really explored it so much. We just know that it's a time of that it's very likely a time celebrating celebrating the beginning of the spring planting season.
Okay.
On the transition between the transition, we've come out of winter, we've transitioned between the thaw period. So it's a little bit like Easter.
Is it like the first full moon after the winter or something, or like?
It may have been, but now it may have been at one time, but now it's marked on the calendar between those 2 months.
I see.
It's also diametrically opposite to Takashtii'il, the harvest.
Gotcha. All right. Cool. So people cut loose, and do they have any kind of ceremonies or things they do on that day, or hang special decorations?
Probably.
Or
yeah, probably wear colorful clothes and partake of the wine a little bit more than you normally would, and probably there's probably a lot of partying and probably a slight uptick in re-educations afterward, but anything for a party.
So you must be busy between all these like dictionary updates and Moon Day celebrations.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about your other project, the Fifth Frontier Warriors.
Right. Yeah, that's been fun. When Mongoose released the Fifth Frontier War supplements, I think it was last winter. Yeah, it's been a few months, hasn't it? I decided it was time to dust off a thing that I started some time ago and never really went anywhere, called Fifth Frontier Warrior, which was just kind of like it originally intended to be kind of like a spy versus spy sort of thing, where the Zhodani would play pranks on the Imperials, and then the Imperials would get theirs back, and nobody would ever win because it's war, and nobody ever wins war. But yeah, inspired partly by the Spy versus Spy Mad magazine comics originally by Antonio Prohías. But it never really went anywhere because I just couldn't get the vibe right,
Mm-hmm.
And then one day I was rewatching the Halo Machinima web series called Red versus Blue,
Mm-hmm.
which is about two groups of Spartan warriors from the Halo games in the original Fox Canyon Blood Gulch. That's what it was. The original Blood Gulch multiplayer map. And one side was various shades of red, and the other side was various shades of blue. Mm. And they were just kind of like stuck in this box canyon for no apparent reason. And they each had their base, and none of them are particularly good at their job.
Mm-hmm.
They're all kind of inept. So you immediately get the impression that they're stuck there for a reason. And so I said, well, can I do this but make it Traveller? Mm-hmm. Turns out, yes, I could. So I stuck the Zhodani on one side of the planet, and the Imperials on the other side of the planet, and none of them are particularly good at anything.
Right. They just do missions to try to foil each other.
Yeah, the war's probably over.
Right.
But nobody told them because
right. They're
nobody wants either of them back.
Oh yeah, there's that, right?
Or they just forgot or something,
Mm-hmm. That's funny. That's a great premise. Yeah,
if you haven't checked it out, it's on the Red versus Blue. It's all some I forget how many seasons are up there now, like 18 or something. It's like it's
Oh
crazy.
wow. Wow.
But it's been going for years.
Oh, I've never heard of it.
They started doing it back in like 2004, I think. Yeah, they started doing it with the first Halo game.
Hmm. Did not
Yeah,
know.
it's been going. It's been going for a long time. It's on YouTube. Check it out.
All right, cool. So I heard that you've recently made your products available at a new distributor.
Yes, I am proud to say that I am now selling on DriveThruRPG.com. And if you look
All
for
right.
Amberzone Comics, you'll find all my stuff up there so far.
Fantastic. And what made you decide to do that?
Um, better reach, better distribution.
Mm-hmm.
Lulu is good, but it's kind of hard to get. It's kind of hard to get the word out to the communities that you want to reach.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah, I
not.
find that my products are much more discoverable on
Yes,
drive-through. Mm-hmm.
yeah. Gamers are already going to DriveThruRPG
Right.
to look for materials. So
Right.
it's it's just good to be integrated with that.
Mm-hmm. And how is your? Are you happy with how your product has been received there?
Yes, yeah. Sales the first month I was on, I I did more product movement than I did in the previous 3 years on Lulu.
Oh wow, that is a big
So
difference.
it's been really good. Yeah,
Yeah, cool.
it's slowed down since then, but that probably the holidays, the
Mm-hmm.
holiday rush. So because I got everything up on uh, um, in time for Christmas.
Oh, cool.
At least digitally. Getting the print versions took a little bit longer because um, Lulu's a little bit less fussy about your PDF formatting than DriveThruRPG is.
I see.
So there was a little bit of a learning curve there.
Mm.
But once I figured that out, it was pretty smooth.
Cool. So what else are you working on? Got any future plans or big projects that you're working on now or in the near term future?
Um, Near term updates to the dictionary, as I mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Major update coming out for Mayday. I'm also working on a couple of sandbox games set in the Traveller universe, but not in the Third Imperium timeline. They're both set on Zdetl,
Mm-hmm.
and one is during the Zhodani era that led to the Second Dark Age. So we're getting a little bit of a Mad Max, but with psionic powers and or excuse me, Mad Max, but with emerging psionic powers, because at this point they still haven't developed them to the level that they're going to need to survive, or that we see in the Third Imperium.
I see.
And then, yeah, another one set even further back that I haven't begun work on yet, and that, but I'm compiling notes for, set during the Takashtii'il Empire, kind of the Bronze
Mm-hmm.
Age, early Iron Age dot, kind of a more swords and sorcery. Um, Might
So,
have some psionics there, but they'd mostly be like shamans and people like that.
well, when you mentioned like Bronze Age, it got me thinking like, how are you? Are you? How do? What are your plans on modeling? Like, everybody's got their style of sword. Some swords are
Yeah.
straight, some are curved, like a khopesh. I mean, like, how are you gonna? Are you gonna kind of like do a mashup of cultural, things for like how their sword style to come up with the
Yeah, yeah,
Zhodani style? You know what I mean?
yeah. Well, I like the idea that they use axes, even in the modern time. And they kind of, the sword design kind of did on the Fifth Frontier War box set that I see them fighting with, kind of has that axe like or Kopesh like shape to it. They're straighter. They're not obviously axes or hatchets, but they're close. And so I'm gonna kind of use that motif, I guess, to kind of as the overall design. There's nothing. I mean, there's nothing inherently special about the Kopesh that makes it deadlier or whatever. It's just a different
variation
design.
of design, cultural design, or whatever. Yeah.
It was. I think on Terra they either were kind of like a transitional form between hand axe and a straight sword, or they could have just been designed that way because they look cool. I don't know.
Right. Who knows? I was just wondering if, like,
also
since you took the
bronze is kind of a, it's not the best metal to make a cutting instrument out of. So when you make it curved, you give your blade a curve like that, it adds some weight to it and gives it some extra momentum. You can also kind of, I guess you can kind of curve it over, arc your blade over a shield.
Over a shield. Yeah, right.
Get in behind defenses.
Yep. Yeah, that's true. So what about got ideas for like a sandbox game?
You mean like those two?
Oh well, you had mentioned or maybe it was a board game about Zdetl.
Oh no, yeah, I was talking about the Fifth Frontier War box set, but yeah, but that does remind me of another project that I've had on the back burner for a while. A couple of years ago, I think, it's like a couple of years ago. The theme for the Traveller Con at the time was the psionic games, and they actually played out the Teqasatl, the psionic games, in a game setting, in a tabletop, which I thought was pretty cool. I didn't get to participate, but I did get to watch, and I thought about how to make how else could we make this happen. So I've had an idea for a Teqasatl card game, kind of in the mode of Magic the Gathering meets Munchkin sort of thing, where you have your hero, right? Or you have your team of competitors, and they might each have their own strengths on a spectrum, right? Whether they're strong in telekinesis or whatever, teleportation or whatever, and the land cards in Magic would be replaced by crowd cards. And in order to gain psychic energy, you tap into the energy of the crowd, and get
like a resource pool based on that.
Get a resource pool based on that. And I haven't worked out the I haven't worked out exactly how it would work yet, but that's just the beginning of it. Maybe there'd be event cards that you draw each turn. You draw a card each turn, and maybe have event cards that you can play, kind of like in Munchkin, where there's a maybe have a capture the flag kind of scenario. You draw a capture the flag card, or and everybody has to send a competitor in and roll the dice or something. It's a little bit of role playing, a little bit of card play. It's more complicated than than
Yeah, you do have to kind of, once you come up with the idea of the mechanic, then you got to make sure it's balanced. Like, how is this going to play out?
Yeah.
And does anybody have a natural advantage that's, overwhelming? Let's talk about what other upcoming products and titles should people look out for? Are you? I saw that you were working on some Zhodani deck plans.
Yep. Started building some starships. So I'll be doing more of that in the near future. I had the first release was the Toshingoa class of missile destroyers, a 3,000-ton nightmare that's bound to cause problems for Imperial warships. I've also got a few designs for some long-range survey ships and long-range base ships that might hypothetically be used during the forward expeditions.
All right. Cool. All right. Did we cover everything?
And probably do a couple of luxury liners in case somebody wants to role play like Murder on the Zhodani Express.
All right.
That could be fun.
Inspector Zhodani. My little gray cells, they are thinking.
I am Inspector Clozo of the Tavercello.
I love Inspector Clouseau.
Oh yeah,
they'll never match Peter Sellers.
No.
Yep.
No.
All right. Well, hey man, I got some silly questions for you. I have my D66 table of amazing questions of interest. So if you have some dice handy,
I do.
Why don't you give me a roll here, and I'll find the matching question for you.
3-1 or 1-3, whichever.
31. If you could rewrite one rule in Traveller, what would it be?
I don't know. I break so many of them.
What's your favorite one to break?
Well, obviously, the first one everybody either ignores or fudges is the survival roll.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's a great mechanic. As written from classic Traveller, it led to it invariably leads to a lot of frustration, particularly for younger players. What, I died already?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's always the first one that gets thrown out, I think, or thrown out or rewritten. So I don't know.
Right.
That's like the center. That's like the center box on a bingo card.
Okay, then what's your next one?
I don't know, everybody loves jack of all trades, but it's kind of messy.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody does it a little bit differently.
In the mongoose version, it negates all your -1 untrains up to 3.
Yeah, up to 3. Yeah, but that's kind of good. I like that. I think I've also done a mechanic where it allows you to re-roll. Like if you I allow a player to like re-roll a failed attempt at an untrained task up to the number of Jack of Trades levels that you have.
That's cool. Mm-hmm. Like a backup skill, kind of.
Yeah. Or
right.
you can try it
Right.
or you can try untrained using your Jack of all trades. You get 4 shots because you've got DOT
right.
4.
Gotcha. All right. Roll again.
Yeah. 6-1.
61. What's your favorite obscure or underrated traveler alien species?
Obscure or underrated? Obscure or underrated? Wow. I don't know. I think the Sorg worlds get kind of a bad rap. They get kind of like brushed aside by everybody.
Okay.
I'd like to see more honest exploration of Sorty culture too.
All right.
Being the descendant of Vikings myself. Oh yeah, sure, you betcha.
All right. You want to answer? You want to try another question?
Yeah, let's keep going.
All right.
Haven't gotten a silly one yet. It's 35.
35. What's your go-to traveler type? Like Scout, Marine, Rogue, something else?
Oh. Traveler class?
Yeah.
Scouts. Always scouts. Yeah.
All right. Here, I'll just pick one at random. Okay. If you could have one psionic ability, what would it be? And why? Wait, let me ask that telepathically.
Yes. I gotta go with telekinesis.
Telekinesis? Why?
That just strikes me as being incredibly useful.
Mm-hmm.
It's a telepathy. I don't want to know. I just don't want to know. Right?
Yeah, I guess so. Uh-huh.
Clairvoyance would be useful. Then you'd always know uh, whether
Like where your
somebody was
kids are.
already in the bathroom.
Right.
Telekinesis. Pass me the salt, Steve. There you go.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I mean, yeah. Doesn't everybody just pretend to do the Jedi thing when you walk up to the doors at Walmart?
Oh yeah, I guess so.
I mean, does anybody not do that?
All right. Here's one more Zhodani question. Good answer.
Yes.
All right.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
All right, let's do one more and then put an end to this monstrosity.
Yes. Want me to roll, or do you want to pick?
You go ahead and roll.
All right. 15.
15. What's the most dangerous alien species you wouldn't want to encounter in deep space?
What dangerous you wouldn't want to encounter? In deep space. Are we talking Traveller or any universe?
I suppose it could be any. It could be anything from any sci-fi IP, I guess.
Well, yeah, but let's keep it to Traveller, because I immediately went to Tyranids. Oh, probably. Let's see here. The one human left alive on a starship adrift.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
that's a good one. I'd be afraid of Space the Thing and Space Blob.
Oh yeah,
the Blob and the Thing are my
Blob and the Thing.
Yeah, my two childhood. The Blob was my first childhood horror movie thing that scared me, and then the Thing when I was an adult.
Yeah, I still have not made it all the way through that movie. I got as far as the first autopsy scene with the dog, and I was like, nope, we're done.
Yep.
Now, mind you, I've seen Hellraiser about 12 times. So,
but there's the scene in the dog kennel is pretty harsh.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's a demented movie from start to finish, but it's so good.
What blew my mind, I learned recently, is that the same guy who did the VFX for Alien, was it for Alien, did the VFX for Dark Star. Dan O'Bannon,
interesting,
who played Pinback in Dark Star, designed the Alien some 20 years later.
Interesting.
And 10 years later. Isn't that amazing?
It is. You never
He's
know.
Well, if I can't make him laugh, maybe I can scare the crap out of him.
You never know, man. When you put your foot in the door of those things, what's going to happen down the line. I never expected when I first started doing these Mayday things that I would meet all these cool traveler people and stuff and get the opportunities that I've had. But you never know what's going to set you down a cool and interesting path. So you make a movie and it flops, and then sometime later you're a success because of that, indirectly because of that movie, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, cool, Jeff. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Or did we cover everything? Where can people find your things? Just do Amberzone on DriveThruRPG.
Yeah. Just look for Amberzone Comics on DriveThruRPG, and you'll find everything but the comics. I'm working on getting the Amberzone collections up there. I built those files on a different PC, so I have to go and extract them and convert them and do all that silliness.
Do you have social pages or Discord server where you want people to go, or?
I'm on all the major social media. I'm on Facebook, of course, under Amberzone. I'm on Blue Sky. look for Amberzone there. You'll find me. I'm also on MeWe, and on Discord. Who the heck am I on Discord anyway? Oh, yep, Amberzone. Yep.
Okay, cool. We'll put links to all the stuff in the video description so people can find you and your stuff. All right. Well, cool, yep. Jeff. Thanks for supporting the event and coming back again for the 2025 edition. I do appreciate your friendship and support in this project, so thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. I'll be back here every time.
Fantastic. I'll send you another invitation next year.
Yep.
All right, man. Thanks a lot. Take care. My guest today was Jeff Kazmierski of the Zhodani Language Institute and creator of Amberzone Comics. Thanks for joining us today, Jeff, and thank you, dear listeners. Until next time, happy traveling. Don't fly solo through the galaxy. Click like to join our alliance. Subscribe for your crew pass, and enable notifications to never miss an encounter. This journey is fueled by my patrons. Thank you, patrons. Feel the thrill of discovery. Become a patron and join the adventure.